Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr, and we've got part 4 of The Last Zombie Hunter this week, so I'm looking forward to reading that. It's been quite an interesting week. I've been very busy. Star Wars Celebration and the Star Wars Cantina means that my other podcast, the Utini Cast, which is related to Star Wars and Star Wars The Old Republic, kept me extra busy. Also today I spent like over 6 hours, including like travel is probably and so on. It's probably more like 7.5 hours getting certified for CPR, which is something I've never done before. It was very interesting actually, and I learned a lot. I do feel confident that I could do it. And yeah, if there's an emergency in front of me, I now have a much better idea what to do. For me, the most difficult part of the day was hearing the parts that sort of related to when my wife Jennifer had her stroke in front of me, because at the time, of course, I wasn't trained. I didn't know what to do. I at first didn't even know she was having like a serious stroke. I thought she was having a leg cramp because she would sometimes get really bad calf cramps and she would sit up in bed and gasp and that's kind of what happened at first. Yeah, and then it went, obviously downhill from there. I think I've talked a little bit about that in a previous episode, so I don't really feel like going into the details right now anyway. But in any case, when we got to the part about strokes and what to do in that situation, it made me feel like worse for a little while, but then kind of better, because it's like I wouldn't have, even now that I'm trained, I wouldn't have done anything much different. I would have known how to do it maybe a little better, a little faster. But given the nature of the kind of massive brainstem bleed that she had, even if I had managed to sort of like keep her a little bit healthier until the EMTs came, it wouldn't have changed the outcome, because she was gone. Her body was, they saved her body, but the brainstem, which is so important to human function and just life function in general, was essentially had been destroyed by the brain bleed, and the first aid and the EMT stuff was all just fiddling around the edges. Anyway, so that part was a little rough emotionally. The rest of it was fine. It was actually kind of, in fact, at a lot of points, and especially at the end, it was like I felt better because now I feel a little more, humanly competent. So anyway, that was good. But anyway, let's get on with the episode, shall we? I'm going back to my biography roots from the first, 50 or however many episodes of the podcast it was, when I'm talking about real life stories. So anyway, we're on to The Last Zombie Hunter part 4. In the last episode, Fred Stein had returned to his home and found that there was someone there. Turns out to be a young girl, 11 or 12, and they sort of had to have a standoff, which they have at least partially resolved, but now the question is what happens from there. And here we go. She lowered the gun. "I guess we have to figure out what happens now," she said. "Yeah," I said. "I have no clue. What were you going to do if this place was deserted?" "Honestly," she said, "I would probably try to live here, at least for a while. It's up high and pretty safe." "That is the idea," I said. "Well, I guess we humans have to stick together." "Right. So, is this an invitation to stay?" "Yes," I said. "First time I've ever invited someone who's broken into my home a place to stay. Big Z has some weird cards up its sleeve. That it does." I showed her my water situation, including how to make sure it was clean, my food, and the where and why of my decisions in each of my rooms. I suppose she could have killed me or just stolen my food and water and guns and whatever else when I'm asleep, but I decided to just trust the situation. Maybe I was starting to feel protective. Maybe I just missed human company. Whatever, I didn't hold much of anything back other than a few items that had meaning for me. Are you going to try to get to your home? Try to see if your parents are still around? I asked when I was done. Or what are your plans? No plans, she said. My house is a few miles away. I haven't learned how to drive, really, though I don't see that would stop me if I had to now. But I just don't think it would be safe to drive or to walk that far. I agree, I said, and not to crush your hopes or anything, but I've seen so few humans. I just don't think their odds are very good. She nodded, face down. Sorry, I said. Even though I'm a store owner, I'm not good with talk. My success is more about sniffing out good bargains that I can sell at a profit. It's okay, she said. I already came to that conclusion some time ago. The way I see it, almost everyone must be zombies. Or dead. I mean, if there was a major pushback somewhere by humans, how long would it be until we saw it? Could it really take this long? That's been my general thinking too, I said. I suppose our best hope is that a good big chunk of humans survive somewhere safe, and eventually they will push out, and at some point they'll make it to here. I mean, these zombies, they can't duplicate except by killing people, and they can't go forever, can they? Won't they run out of energy or fall apart or something? I hope so, Mackenzie said. If you're up for it, I said, I think we should share our stories about the zombies to each other so we can learn more about their capabilities. Can we eat first? Mackenzie said, not to be rude, but I was still looking around your place when you showed back up. I haven't eaten in about a day. Oh, of course, I said. I hope you like trail mix. It's one of my staples. Sounds great, she said. I was watching her eat a minute later, wolfing down trail mix from a bowl held in one hand. I got her a glass of water. It will taste of the bleach I mentioned, I said. She drank some. She made a tiny bit of a face, but then slugged down the whole glass. I'll get more, I said. I realized that, though she was skinny and shorter than me by a head, I had just doubled the amount of food and water I would need to have on hand, unless she decided to leave. That made me uncomfortable. I was already having to go out more than once a week just for water, and I would be needing another food run pretty soon. We haven't talked about toilet use, I said. I generally pee in the toilet, but we can't flush, so we absolutely cannot poop in there. I've been very carefully doing that outside when I must, or I lay down some paper, poop like a puppy in training, and then take it out later. She made a face that was part smile, part grimace. I've done worse than that already, so I can't complain. Thank you for the food and water and place to stay. And of course, Mackenzie. Mi casa, su casa. I paused for a moment, decided if I wanted to say something. I decided I did. Like I was saying about the store, I'm not great with company. I've been single most of my adult life, and I'm 43 now. So it's been a long time since I've shared my home with anyone for long. I may not remember how. Mackenzie laughed. I'm sure it'll be fine. Mackenzie was a fine house guest. She slept in my old bedroom on a fairly comfortable couch. The windows were all unbroken, so if she made a bit of noise, it wouldn't draw attention. It was also, aside from the room I had made into my sleeping quarters, probably the safest room, being close to neither the blocked upstairs nor the small dining room with the sliding doors leading to the deck and my ladders. I told her of my plans to make rainwater gather in barrels on the deck, and she agreed that the ability to properly flush and also have the ability to withstand a long siege, only having to worry about food, would be smart. We also instituted a new policy. Unless we were both going, the other one would pull up the ladders so that no human could do, well, what she had done. We also carefully one morning reset the emergency elevator. Doing it was the work of only a few minutes. The planning was what took a while. Because my own weight wasn't enough to get the thing reset, it would take both of us. I'd done it originally by adding another pulley and then tying it all down and adding the seat. But with the seat already in place, it would be a bit trickier. So we carefully hooked the seat, which had a couple of holes in it, with a device I made partially out of an antique scythe. It was strong, and together we were able to pull the seat down, watching all the time for zombies. If one came, we were to count 3, 2, 1 before letting go and running for the ladders on either side of the house. That way neither of us would be pulled up or smacked by the seat. Still, it all went to plan. We pulled and pulled, and though it was tricky, I got the rope through the eye set on the ground, and then we could pull the seat all the way down. I sat on the seat, flat on the ground, and she held the rope above me, and I reached over and hitched the rope back to the cleat. But that left me feeling uneasy. The door was secure, but not as secure as I would like if Mackenzie was going to be sleeping in there, with the elevator right outside her door. True, the elevator would make a noise that would almost certainly wake her up, but that was not enough. So we spent some time making the door far more secure, with a bolt that could be thrown across the door, medieval style. I don't know how she was when she was on her own. Maybe she had turned everything off. After all, I changed when I met her. Maybe it was the same for her. All I know is, one day we were taking a break for some food after spending a good amount of time working on the rain barrels. We were in the dining room, looking out over the deck and to the street with the various businesses and houses nearby. Mackenzie spotted a zombie shuffling down the street. It was, or had been, a woman. She was probably in her 40s with very average, casual dress, though she was wearing only one shoe, and the sock on her unshod foot had worn through. Mackenzie saw her and just stared. I noticed her look. It even frightened me a little. "Did you know her?" I asked. She shook her head no. But she also started crying. Whether it was pity for the woman now a zombie, or for the society utterly lost, or for her friends and family missing and probably gone, or for all of it, or for something else, I don't know. I let her have her moment. And that's the end of the episode this week. I am putting this out a little early because this weekend has been crazy busy. But, we'll put it out next Sunday, the next episode next Sunday. I am looking forward to writing more, of course. And I hope you enjoyed it. So if you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, CryptoBiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thank you for listening. Copyright 2019, CryptoBiography LLC, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.